him and injecting fluids into him. And, you know, he and the pain, he said it was so horrible that would, you know, but he didn't forget it. I mean, when they returned him back on wherever he was taken from, he said he remembered everything he went through. And maybe they wanted him to remember all the pain he went through. I don't know.
Well, we've all heard of the stories of wiping out the memory and being able to mask the pain on some of their experiments, potentially, the things that they do to abductees. And I have actually heard the same story, Gary, from a different person, that indeed they did allow this person to experience pain of some of the procedures, and he got the feeling that they needed to monitor his awareness of pain or his reaction to certain procedures. So who knows what I can't wait to hear this guest coming on then.
Yeah, it's intriguing, and maybe that you're right. They want to see how people respond to pain. I mean, rather than, you know, making them into a daze or giving them something where they don't feel anything and they do their experiments, at least they know how, you know, just like being implanted. They maybe want to watch your thoughts and how you know, function day to day, just to figure out what the human race does. Now, going back to this video thing. Now, again, if somebody wants to join your group, is it open where people can join what you're doing? Or do they have to do a membership? Or do you have to vote them in? Or can they just start appearing at Denny's and join you guys? What's all involved? That's some of the questions I've had asked the last couple of weeks of me to ask you.
Oh, well, wonderful. I'm glad that people are interested in paying attention. We are a very informal group. The UFO I-Team is probably around 12 members strong at this point, just members that are regular on a weekly basis. We have meetings. They can go to UFO I-Team with a lowercase I on Facebook and just check us out first if they'd like to, because we do live stream our weekly meetings on Wednesday night, 6 p.m. to approximately 8 p.m. And if they're interested, they can always come and attend our meetings, because we welcome folks to come and share their stories with us, and to help us kind of figure out what's going on as well. And like we were talking about earlier, we had all 12 of us up there in a small little community of Glacier, Washington this weekend, filming a very exciting pitch pilot episode of this reality TV show we're working on. And we believe that we are doing a service by actually, well, basically red-pilling the public on what the heck is really going on out there, and being able to show it and prove it on tape and in testimony from witnesses as well.
Now, are you worried about any guys in black or anything coming up to you after you get this going? After, you know, people are starting to discover you now because you're doing the show for Night Dreams Talk Radio, correct? And plus you're streaming this off Facebook Live. So that means you're opening yourself up to review by the DOD and some other agencies. Are you worried that they might try debunking your group or anything like that?
Well, you know, I have always had that thought in my mind. I've been interested in ufology for well over 40 years. And, of course, I've been Peter Davenport's attorney for the last 23 years for the National UFO Reporting Center. So I've heard all the stories, the men in black, you know, the deep state, the pressure on people not to tell the truth. But I'll tell you what, I'm experiencing, I'm seeing out there that there's this concerted effort on behalf of someone in the powers that be to get the word out about this. There seems to be a very important thing, I believe, coming down the road that they need to prepare the public for in general. And so that's why you see the front page article in the New York Times confirming existence of UFOs and that there was a government program studying these things, including a down craft that they have metamaterials of that they can't figure out how it works. So that's important. Things are happening so quickly that I'm not so much worried about being shut down now at this point. Otherwise, we would never have even gotten this far as what we do live streaming wise.
Oh, I don't know about
together.
I don't know about that, because I can say this, doing my show, it seems like every time I get a guest on, okay, even tonight before you came on with the guest I had on, as soon as we started talking about, Planet X and, UFO type of thing, all of a sudden, I was having problems. And as soon as we changed the subject, the problem just went away. Then later on during that hour, we talked about something again. It touched on the same thing. I started having problems, like weird noise coming on, being picked up or being, disconnected. Not just tonight, but it happens quite often. If I start talking about UFOs or government conspiracies, all of a sudden during the conversation, like an hour or 2 hour show, I'll be disconnected with the guest at least 3 or 4 times. But if we're talking about something else, it doesn't ever happen. So I find that kind of strange.
Yeah. And my feeling is that there is definitely compartmentalization going on with the deep state. There are projects out there, probably government trolls, sitting out there monitoring all these broadcasts and kind of, stirring up the pot, cutting people off whenever they need to. But I think there also is probably the white hats in there that are kind of still steering the idea of leaking the truth on a faster and faster basis, I believe, right now. I often wonder, since last December, since the New York Times article came out, and the new things that we've learned just since then, what will happen before next December, and or what happens in next December? Is there something else coming down the road that they need to prepare us for? Because otherwise, why would they be doing this at this point? You're right. They're giving certain people certain hard times, and they're kind of monitoring what we're doing. But overall, the information is coming out swifter and swifter all the time, I believe.
Well, I don't know if you listened to the interview with Steve Bassett, but I mean, that's one. Yeah. He was saying too. He feels it's going to be within the year. The government's going to make a big announcement about UFOs. Now, again, too, we don't know if they're going to be friendly or non-friendly. It'd be, and if they finally come out and say, well, there is UFOs. But they might not tell us everything about it. They might just come out and say, yes, we're being visited by UFOs. We're trying to find out more information. We'll let the public know as we find out more, which means they could drag it out for another 20 years. But then the other aspect is if the visitors, or some of them, might not be friendly. I mean, Mary Joyce and on her website, really, and when I've had her on the show, she said that there is aliens on this planet working with our government that are not friendly with humans. They're only working with our government, and our government's working with them just to benefit each other.
Right. Well, I believe you're correct there. If the universe follows the laws and the rules that we see on this tiny little planet, we of course got good people, we have bad people, we have people all in between, and so I would think that that's got to be the case on other planets and or other places in the universe. The real interesting thought that I always keep in the back of my mind is, if there was a race that was out there to destroy us and had the ability to do that, they probably would have done that well before we developed the hydrogen bomb or some of these large weapons that we have now that could actually make some difference and wreak some havoc out there. I don't know why they would have waited this long to potentially wipe us out if they could have done it even 100 years ago.
Yeah, but maybe again, you have to realize maybe it could be gene splicing, or they need something from us, for their race to continue on.
I believe that. I think you're right. I mean, there is a reason. Potentially, then, the reverse of that argument is they're keeping us alive and or not wiping us out because we are valuable to them somehow.
Yeah, we could also be. We could be a Big Mac to them too. They could be, abducting us. Basically for breeding us. On another planet or their planet or whatever, and we're no more than cattle is. With us. I mean, till we find out. It's so many different ways you can take it. I see evidence and proof. I'm not going to look at them, and I'm not going to come up to an alien and put my arms around you and say, "Welcome, brother," because I don't know what their motives are. I mean, if they were friendly and they wanted to help us, I think they would have made their appearance a lot sooner known, and try to work things out with the human race. I really think that there's maybe different aliens from different solar systems and galaxies out there that maybe have different objectives than. Yeah. So we could be, like I said, a Big Mac, or we could be maybe something that we can give them that they can't have no longer on their planet. Now, also on the news, I was reading about today, there was a galaxy that's close to us that kind of like is gobbling up other solar systems, their galaxies, kind of like eating them up. That makes you wonder if we could be next on its menu.
Yeah, yeah. Let alone what kind of black holes and dangers there are in our own Milky Way galaxy that. It takes, I don't know how many hundreds of thousands of years for our planet to make only one circle around the galactic center. So it's kind of interesting to see what we're headed towards right now in the galaxy, just in our known neck of the woods.
Well, we could enter all into a black hole. And that's another thing about black hole. This recently, they actually got proof that something emerged out on the opposite end of a black hole, and they have never in studying black holes all these years, never seen anything come out of a black hole. They've seen plenty of things go in it, but they never seen something come out.
Well, speaking of that, that's a great analogy to, believe it or not, some footage that we have seen. This is still frame footage up from the place that we just came from this weekend, where it looks as if these craft, UFOs, are coming either into or going out of some kind of portal in the sky. It's just fascinating stuff. It has 3D depth to it, this portal, and it looks as if the craft that we're spotting has something to do with that portal. So who knows where that's going, whether that's using a black hole to come in and out, or whether it's just the portal system that we don't know about that helps people travel from distance to distance without having to actually go through the speed of light or whatever they do.
Well, maybe that's how they came up with the Stargate series, huh? One of the guys started studying black holes and possibility of, portals where you can, come through and go through time and all that stuff and end up in a different place. So, hey, it's a very good possibility. I mean, they're getting here somehow, and that makes more logical sense. That would be the fastest way. They could go through a portal and be here a matter of days or hours or, weeks versus years or lifetimes, As
a matter of fact, the famous Canadian ufologist Grant Cameron is talking currently about the portals that he is discovering with certain UFO groups that are meeting at Mount Shasta, various locations around the world, and experiencing these portals opening and craft coming out of them, not only craft, but entities. Coming out of the portals as well. So that seems to be a hot topic.
Bigfoot too, stuff like that.
Yep.
Yeah,
that's right. That's exactly right.
Now,
and, those stories as well.
Now, coming up here Sunday, we're getting away from the paranormal kind of on your show. You forgot to tell, guess who? Peter Davenport
Yes, I apologize.
That's okay. And then I got a message